For many of us Tesla investors, we see Tesla as a once-in-a-generation investment opportunity. We see that Tesla's playing in multiple large markets, not only auto, but also energy, robots, and AI. How then is it that many others just can't see what we see? What is it about this investment opportunity that they might be missing? And my guest today is Larry Goldberg. He started several companies in the past. He's seen why Tesla is a good investment, and he's a long-term buy and hold kind of person. So welcome, Larry.
Thanks, Herbert. Good to be here.
Let's get started with just the idea of why did you invest in Tesla? What did you see? And then from there, let's break it down to what is it that people are missing about Tesla?
Well, I've kind of followed Elon Musk for some time. I became aware of him, when he started his first company, and even more so with the PayPal story. Became very interested in him when he started both a rocket company and a EV company. I'll admit that I didn't focus on the EV side of it. I focused on the rocket side of it in terms of my interest in him, because as a kid, I came from South Africa as he did. And as a kid, I dabbled in rockets. I built my first, rocket at a tender age of 12, I think it was, and had the rocket taken away from me by the authorities because apparently building rockets in South Africa at that time was illegal. But rather than dabble, Elon was very serious about it. And I read, his blog on the progress or lack of progress because they lost their first three rockets in their attempts to get to orbit. But I began to understand his philosophy. I began to understand his skill sets, and I began to understand how he was applying his vision to practical implementation of business. And so when Tesla actually did an IPO, I paid attention. I paid attention because in reading the Tesla blogs and reading the problems that he went through in trying to understand what was happening with the Roadster when he wasn't in management, and when he took over management, what he did to adjust, I began to understand that here was a guy that not only could theorize, but he could actually put into practice in a very, very rare approach, using this first principles approach and managing to that first principles. That's what got me excited. And so that was the long story, or as short as I could make it, of why I started investing in Tesla. Very excited with the philosophy of first principles. It was relatively new to me, although I'd found that I'd been operating by that, but then seeing the skill with which he implemented those first principles. And I've seen it, I've seen how he has woven that into the very DNA of both Tesla and SpaceX, and for that matter, Neuralink and his other companies as well. So I'm pretty excited about it, and still excited about it many years later. So that's the story behind my investment in Tesla and in SpaceX and in the other Musk companies.
So I find it interesting that you looked at it from kind of the entrepreneur team approach, right? So you were very, very deep dive on who is this person, Elon Musk? How does he kind of innovate? How does he think? And then more importantly, how does he execute? And what is his approach to business? And that's what drove you. It was interesting you didn't say that electric vehicles weren't necessarily the market per se. You just saw this team is going to be great. I will share with you that there's actually research that was done, right? There's 3 things that could make a startup successful. Is it the team, right? Is it the market, or is it the product? And many people will say, oh, it's the team, right? And if I get the right team, it doesn't matter if they've got a great product or mediocre product, they will make that product great. it's the team that matters. But actually, the answer came out to be that it's the market. That if the market is so massive and it's growing, it doesn't matter if you have a mediocre team or mediocre product. It will still succeed as a start. May not be the best, but it will still it won't fail if the market just takes it off. And so for me, I took a look at the electric vehicle revolution and just realized that this is a thing and it's a real thing. And so any company that's in the electric vehicle, I want to be part of it. And then of course, Elon Musk kind of has the greatest vision and so forth. Any comments on that thinking there?
Yeah, I'm the great skeptic of all these studies. So I'll give you the example of Betamax.
Yeah.
Great team, Sony. Great product, great market. Yep. They failed.
True.
I think these academic studies are important, but if you look at Elon's track record over time in multiple different markets, and by the way, in his private investments, he has been remarkably successful. Making investments in private companies in a venture capital mode, you can expect about a 90% failure. The most remarkable investors have got like a 40% failure. That's the most remarkable. Elon's private investments have been, I don't think he's had more than about a 10% failure. Very few people know about this, but he is remarkably successful. Remarkably successful. And a lot of people are calling Twitter a failure. I'm an investor in Twitter. I think Twitter is going to be an incredible success. It's going to take a while, but it's going to be an incredible success. I believe that the success in this case of SpaceX, Twitter, I should say SpaceX, Tesla, without doubt, in my mind, boils down to the individual. Yes, the team is great. Yes, the market is very impressive. Although, take the space market. What kind of market was there when he came along? There was, a tiny market. Tiny market. He's recreated that market. So I'm a skeptic with these academic studies, great skeptic, because I see so many academic studies turned upside down. I've seen that over my lifetime.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll take it. Obviously, Elon is completely different as an entrepreneur. You subscribe, and many of us do. Don't bet against Elon. So step one, you saw him and wanted to invest with him. Tell me about the company. Start with Tesla. What is it about Tesla that you see that others might be missing?
Tesla is in an incredibly difficult market, the auto market. There are very, very few companies that have succeeded from scratch in recent years. There are national champions that have evolved, in Japan, in Korea, in China, because they are so well supported by their national, support systems, whether it's government or combination of government and sort of patriotic buying. They're the only companies that have sprung up since the first American companies and the first German companies and the first British companies, came up, and they were kind of national champions. Tesla has cut across this grain so dramatically, and it's unique. Yeah, there are a few startups that are trying, and there's Rivian, there's Lucid, and there are a few others. Rivian may make it. I like that company, but it's going to be awfully hard. Awfully hard. What Tesla has done is taken an impossible task, and that's starting a brand new auto company, impossible. Starting an EV company, impossible. Combined these impossible tasks and succeeded. Well, you don't do that unless you are extraordinary in terms of your team, extraordinary in terms of your execution, extraordinary in terms of your product design. And so we have proof of this extraordinariness. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Okay.
I mean,
No, that's how you got into Tesla and what they're doing. But many people are saying, well, Tesla's in the auto business, and I see compression of margins. Let's talk this year, next year, and they're going to be struggling. I see that there's money where I could place my money. Could be in other places. You were on a space with me, and there was another person there who was talking about, I'd rather put my money in other investments this year because the margins are going to fall, which is fair. There's nothing wrong with that approach. That is some people who look at Tesla going, they're a great company. They look like they're winning in the space. But if I look out a year from now and all these other bets, they might come, but they're years away from now. What's your answer to that statement?
you try and time the Tesla investment, you're going to get whacked. You're going to get whacked. I mean, I remember production hell and people were selling Tesla short and people were selling out of Tesla. I remember one very good example of a big Tesla fan decided, well, it's going to be tough, and sold his shares, and he became a terrible bear and, started trashing Tesla because he lost the opportunity. It got away from him. Tesla have got so many opportunities to surprise in energy, in Dojo, in AI training, in the bot, in the field of the bot. If you want to time Tesla, you're a genius. To succeed, you'll have to be a genius, and you're way above my pay grade. I couldn't do that. I could never do that. So my bet in Tesla is to put a certain percentage of my net worth into Tesla and leave it for the generation coming. And I'm fine with that. But, if you're a young person, you're very impatient and you want the money tomorrow, you've got to have a better idea than I've got.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, so what is it about Tesla that you're most excited about? So you've got your auto business, which we can all kind of measure out, and it's very successful. It's taken over, and they're going to, basically take over the ICE sales out there. They're going to have a significant share. They've got multiple gigafactories. Electric vehicle is a thing. They've rode the wave, and they're going to keep riding it forward. What other things that you think might come sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I mean, some people would say Optimus, some people would say training, some people would say energy. My bet on Tesla is not for a single particular product. My bet on Tesla is the business philosophy, organization structure, and approach to business, the first principles approach to business. When I look across their multiple businesses, and when I look at the quality of their management, my bet is on the company philosophy and approach. That's what my bet is on. And so some people will say, well, you can't quantify that, and you can't. And you can't quantify, the value of the man, Elon Musk, because anything could happen to him, and you can't. But I have such confidence in that team of those, people we saw on Investor Day, and many that we didn't see on Investor Day. I have such confidence in the people that they have chosen, the people that Elon has chosen, and the people that they have chosen. And yes, some will come and go, but on balance, they've got, an average of 8 years service in that company, which beats the pants out of most Silicon Valley companies. And I have very high confidence in the company as an organism. And that, is strange, but that's my way of investment. I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure. And then, so the stock price today is $240. Do you think that is fair? Do you think some people think that that's overvalued? they will say, many people who look at Tesla as an investment to go, it's an auto business, okay? And look at Toyota's market cap, and then Tesla's market cap today at 240 combined, it's equivalent to 12 other automakers. Why are you giving it so much of a market cap when it's just really an auto business? And yes, there's these other businesses, but they're not in fruition. They'll be years from now. So what's your consideration of the risk based on the market cap today? Is it a good investment today?
I think it's a great investment. Look, I'm not alone here. If you look at the analysts, if you look at the pure auto analysts, many of them are negative, for good reason, because it's very hard to justify an auto company at this kind of multiple. But if you look at some of the other analysts, Dan Ives, if you look at Morgan Stanley, if you look at Pierre Ferragu, these guys who have a lot of mileage in their profession and are highly respected, they've done the sum of the parts analysis of Tesla, looking at the auto company, yes, but the energy company as well, the software opportunity in terms of AI, and the and Optimus. If you look at all of the pieces and you do a sum of the parts, $240 is a very fair price. I think it's a steal of a deal, but that's my view. Everybody has their own approach and they're justified. Time will tell, but I feel very confident. I'm very certain of my investment in the company. And so, that's the beauty about capitalism. Everybody can form their own opinion and everybody can take their own choice.
Yeah, they do. So are you one of those that are saying, well, just wait until 2030? That's my investment horizon. What is your forecast of what you think the stock price could be? Again, we will preface this as this is not financial advice. I'm asking you what you think it is for your own calculations for yourself. We've got so many people who has their forecast that they've been sharing. I'm just curious where you're at. Are you somebody who says, hey, let's not look at the stock price until 2030? And then that's when I'll look at it. And this is what I think it might be by then.
Yeah, I am a long-term investor, but I don't say let's look at the stock price in 2030. I think we will see steps to 2030. And I think we see steps in, a fairly good cadence of a year or 2 years in each step. I thought when we reached that very high watermark, the all-time high, I thought we'd got a little bit over our skis. But every stock had got a little bit over its skis in the middle of that pandemic, that burst of exuberance at the end of the first wave of the pandemic. I think we will see the stock gradually increase. I think 2030 will be great for the stock, but I think as we see the maturing of each step in each of the product lines, we'll see an impact on the stock price. So what do I expect the stock price to be? My best guess is higher. I can't give you a number. People say, what's the number? What's the number on the state and that day? I just say higher. Yeah, we'll see some up and down movement, with the macro and with expectations and with Tesla is driven a lot by this negative publicity, and the negative publicity has been there for its entire history on the stock exchange. There have been haters from the beginning. People hate Elon Musk, people who have, envy, or people don't understand him, or people just quite hate him for whatever reason. There are a lot of that, and the media tends to really feed on it, and they enjoy all the clicks, and we've seen that all before. So there is a built-in a negative bias on the price of the stock from all of that, which bodes very well for the investor. So I see that as a positive in the stock. So in summary, and I know I've gone into this at great length, in summary, I can see a step-by-step improvement in the price all the way from here to 2030. And I think those steps are going to be erratic. I think they're going to be fairly large steps, each one of them. And I think to try and time them is just foolish.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you now is let's go through every single market that Tesla's in, and I want to get your opinion on it and your kind of reason why you think it's
Right.
a really good market. What is the risks? What are the opportunities? So we'll maybe span 2 to 3 minutes for each of these. Okay. And I know one of your most favorite is energy. Let's start with energy. What do you know about energy and why you think where it's going to go?
Well, energy is one of the largest markets in the world. The TAM for energy is, I mean, pretty much inexhaustible because, as long as the human species evolve and expand and, if they would only expand population, the rate of expansion of the population of the Earth has come down a little bit. But energy opportunity is gigantic. And Tesla have got a very important component of the energy market, and that is battery and the ability to store energy at scale. It's not the end of their involvement in the energy market. I see them building, home energy units, heat pumps. I see an enormous opportunity in energy that isn't even begun to be dealt with. So everything from the supercharger network to the home implementation and ultimately to mega storage, all of that, the market is gigantic. And I think in classic Tesla form, they will continue to innovate, to develop products for that market. And I think they are very well set for a massive expansion of their TAM and of their revenue at good profits. So,
Great profits. It's amazing profits. Okay, so they've got a Megapack factory in Lathrop, California. They just announced a Megapack factory in Shanghai. These things pop up in less than 9 months. They're in production. There's going to be many, many more, right? The
There has to be one in Europe. It just has to be one in Europe.
Every single country probably is going to have their own.
Well,
is what's
continent
happening.
Really more than country, I think. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think every country needs to have their own. Okay, so energy is the largest market out there. So thank you for that. What's your thoughts on Tesla's approach to Robotaxi and what their approach, their timing for that, and their progress?
Well, we spoke about this almost a year ago, and I said somewhere between 2 and 3 years. So now we're about 1 year to 2 years away by that calendar, by that time scale. I think we're still on track. People are very excited about version 12. I've got bad news for them. Version 12 is going to be a great leap forward, but a few steps back as well. There's going to be a lot of complaints about it. But I think the rate of training and the rate of improvement of version 12 is going to be very, very substantial, significantly better than we've seen in the past. So I think we're still 1 or 2 years away from that. But when it comes, it's going to be incredible. I mean, it's very hard to see what all happens. I'm not one of those that believe Tesla is going to win every single market by itself. I'm one who actually subscribes to the same view of Pierre Ferragu. I think Tesla should manufacture the cars. I think they should provide the software for the cars. I think they support the cars, but I think they should get, third parties involved in operating the fleets, including Uber, including Hertz, and including other operators in other geographies. And whether or not they run a fleet themselves, I don't know. So the software, the support, the manufacture of the cars, And when I say software, I don't just mean the AI in the cars, the FSD in the cars, but I mean the software supporting the actual networking operations. So that's what I see as the fastest way into the market. And I see that as being a huge opportunity of many billions, maybe $1 trillion in and of itself. And so I'm very excited about that. But I think that opportunity only begins, sometime towards the end of 2025 and maybe in 2026.
So for your perspective, it's inevitable that Tesla will solve Robotaxi maybe in a couple of years from now. And then the TAM is pretty large.
Yep.
$1
Yep.
Pretty confident with that. Okay. Let's talk about Dojo and compute, supercompute, computing as a service, and their efforts with AI as they're heading in this direction, in combination with their partnership with xAI, a separate company that Elon created in partnership with X. Just Grok being able to use for bots and for cars. What's your estimate for the importance of AI for Tesla and their progress there?
I'm struggling to really solve what the relationship and what the reach is of xAI, X, and then Tesla, and how the three parts fit together. It's clear to me that Dojo or Tesla can provide a service in terms of training, and some of that is going to be very specific, and perhaps to Grok. The opportunity for Grok is gigantic, but that's an xAI opportunity, not so much a Tesla opportunity, except the integration of Grok into the car, I think, is going to be very important. Very important. It's going to be, I think, it's going to be foundational to the value of the Robotaxi, because just having the Robotaxi without Grok is one thing, but having it with Grok is a whole nother level. And so the software integration with the Robotaxi, that's a huge differentiator. A lot of analysts are saying that large language models themselves are not going to be the winner takes all kind of environment, but the applications or the functionality on top of that is going to be important. And I think the car with Grok and Robotaxi is going to be one of those winners. That's the best I can see. It's a little fuzzy, and the relationships are a little fuzzy. So as far as training is concerned, it's interesting. It's exciting, but I know that Tesla will have their own unique take on how they offer that and where they offer that, to whom they offer that. And so I don't, it's unclear to me yet how that emerges. I'm not as imaginative or as capable as Tesla is in being able to frame that as a product. It's just eluding me at the moment.
That's fair. It's very complicated, but at least what we know is that Tesla is in a game, and not only in the game, but they're leading. They've got one of the largest supercomputers in the world. They've now got 3 supercomputers, and they have plans to get to 20 times this compute by the end of this year. And from that, it's going to.
And they're also training in in areas that other people are not training in, and they're training on a training database that nobody else has got.
Yeah.
And it's not transparent to us, all the opportunities that arise from it. And what we don't yet see is what we're going to get from Optimus in terms of the training data. So it's such an exciting opportunity, but framing what that opportunity is, building a product structure around it, it's very difficult from the outside because we don't see all that they have and all that they can do with it. Does that make
Love it. Okay,
sense?
I appreciate that. Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about those things. I want to hear more about Tesla Bot, and then also I want to hear it in context of those others. Like I haven't asked you before, what do you think is going to come first? Is it robot? Some people in their forecast they've got Robotaxi first, Bot next. Others they flip it. Then you've got your energy, and then you got your AI. Tell me a little bit where you see Bot fit, and then tell me about what you're expecting for Bot.
Yeah, I'm a lot less optimistic from a timescale point of view on Optimus than some of the pundits. You know, we've heard people say they're going to have robots in the factory this year. Some people say they're going to have robots in the factory next year. I think next year is a possibility towards the end of the year. I think that the development of the bot, while it's been very exciting, is not as far ahead as people think. You know, we see the bot walk and we say, it can walk, it's done. It's not done. If you listen carefully or read carefully to the postings done by Tesla on the bot, you'll see that they said, we now have improved the walk and we're often walking without, connection to the head. Well, often means that also we're struggling to walk at times and we're having problems with walking. So what I read that to say is that great progress made. Version 2 is a fantastic improvement on version 1, but we have a ways to go. And I think there's going to be a version 3. And I think we're about a year away from that. Now, I've seen all the other vendors that have gone public. There are probably some that have not yet gone public. And I've seen, where they are. They're also, a lot of video. I mean, video is fantastic. Why is video fantastic? Because you have the ability to edit the video. So until they actually bring those out onto stage and they dance for us on stage, it's all video. Now, of course, great progress. There are a lot of competitors because it's a gigantic market. There will be many winners, not one winner. There'll be multiple winners. The market is so great. The TAM, I've done a study on this, and so many people have shown us that the TAM is trillions, multi-trillions of dollars, because we're basically replacing the basic energy of humankind, and that's our labor. So the TAM is gigantic. Tesla will be one of the winners. Tesla already are one of the leaders from starting later than the others. But it's not going to be overnight. And so when, your guess is as good as my guess.
Okay, so let me summarize what I think I heard you say today. So first of all, you invest in Tesla, and what you see, of course, is your bet is on Elon. This is incredible how he thinks, he executes as well. And then from there, you've got a pretty solid and very confident ability for Tesla to succeed. And then you've got these 4 things we talked about, right? There's energy, there's AI, there's bots, and Robotaxi. And from what I hear, what you're saying is like you're not saying this will go ahead of this one, but you are saying that all 4 of them are inevitable. They're all going to happen. You have no risk or confidence there. It's just when will it happen, and when it does, the stock will step change up and move up. Is this correct?
And ironically, of them all, the vehicle company has the lowest TAM and the lowest margin.
Yes. Yeah.
Manufacturing motor cars is a tough and unrewarding business.
But what they did was what they did was actually the factories. It's the factories, the learning how to build a factory, how to be fast in building a factory, how to be much more automated. And then from there, you can build anything. You can build bots. You can build megapack factories. You can build
they're not
anything.
done yet. They're
like
not
you said,
done
home heating, heat pumps. You can build anything.
Yeah. And look what they've done in building rockets. I mean, if you disagree with my thesis, then how the hell did they create SpaceX? A rocket company and a car company or an energy company, whatever you want to typify it as, and the rocket company, why did both succeed so spectacularly in such impossible to begin businesses? And, Tesla Q say fraud this and fraud that, but it's really hard, really, really, really hard to fool people with a rocket that puts human beings into space. That's very difficult. You need really, 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 really good video to fool people you're doing that.
It's crazy.
So,
well, the reason is because it is unbelievable, right? And there's so many people who see the bot, and like you were saying, it's a video, so they're just still discounting it. It's all CGI, it's all faked, and then they have to wait until see it, prove it until you see it, because it's just
just one point on that. My point isn't that the video is fake. My point is it's really easy. I mean, I've been doing it my whole life in the software business. You build a piece of software, it's not done yet, it's very, very it's very buggy, but you can make a really good video of it working. That's legitimate because you've got the structure of it, you've got it working, and we've built businesses on software that we started in that way, and that software becomes very functional and very capable. So what they're doing is very, very, very legitimate, but it's going to take longer than people think.
Exactly. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for going through this with me. Appreciate your evaluation of Tesla as a stock and the business, and of course, Elon the man. Thank you so much, Larry. Follow him on X at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.